What's up everybody and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at the all-new 2024 Hyundai Santa Fe. This one is the Calligraphy 2.5T all-wheel drive, finished in Serenity White Pearl. MSRP is just over $50,000. So let's take a look at what this luxury spec 3-row SUV has to offer. So pulling the hood latch and then just finding the catch underneath it. Underneath the hood, this is going to get that 2.5 liter inline 4-cylinder turbocharged engine with 277 horsepower and 311 pound-feet of torque. This vehicle can tow 3,500 pounds, even has an 8-speed dual clutch transmission paired to the H-Track all-wheel drive system. Curb weight's around 4,500 pounds, and then with a 17.7 gallon fuel tank, you're looking at 20 miles per gallon in the city with 28 out on the highway. Moving on to the styling, you're going to see a lot of H logos throughout this car. So if we go ahead and lock it, take a look at the LED headlights with that cool H design. And then if I unlock it, which by the way, we have a Hyundai logo as the key, you get all this white LED lighting, more of the H's in there. Really cool design. Of course, LED beams themselves. Cool trim design for the upper grille. You can see that blacked out Hyundai badge. And then down below, once again, you have a huge H logo in the lower bumper. All gloss black trim throughout it, parking sensors, grille shutters, forward facing camera, got your safety sensor, and then you can see just all the very squared off and boxy designs for this front end. It's a super unique looking SUV for sure, a little bit unconventional, however it does come together nicely. On the hood, you just have two sharp lines on the side just to keep it nice and clean. And then I like how all that gloss black trim makes its way into the fender flares. There's none of that like cheap plastic throughout this. I like how it's all at least painted, which is a good touch. You do have a set of 21-inch wheels finished in a satin black with a multi-spoke look. And I like the sharp edges surrounding the wheel arch. You can see the sharp body lines as well. Santa Fe badge on the side. And then a set of power folding side mirrors with an LED turn signal and side view camera. All gloss black trim surrounding the windows, giving it that floating roof. You have the roof rails, which can handle 220 pounds, panoramic roof up on top. And then for the side profile, it's a longer looking SUV, has good proportions. I think overall it comes together very well. You can see just how flat all the body panels are with all the sharp lines to it as well. Something very cool, there's a handle integrated right here you can actually grab to help you get up to the roof, whether you step on the tire or maybe the inside door. That is a cool touch. These are also lockable from the inside. All the black trim surrounding these windows, and then third brake light is up on top. Blacked out badging in back with your H-Track logo. And then the taillights even kind of wrap around just a little bit. You can see more of that H design to it. Exhaust tip on the right side, all your parking sensors, and then gloss black for the lower diffuser with more reflectors and the reverse lights. So it's a pretty unique looking style for sure. However, it looks pretty cool. Taking a look at the interior, pressing this button, we can automatically open up the rear liftgate. Now with the third row folded down completely, you have about 40.5 cubic feet of volume. And then you can just grab these handles very easily, lift them upwards to gain access to the third row. So pretty easy to operate. These seats recline, as you'll see in just a little bit. And from here, there's even hidden space down below and tire changing items. Now with it in this configuration, you have 14.6 cubic feet of space back here, which is actually pretty nice. Now to lower these, you can just pull this one right here and that will get them down. If the headrests are up, go ahead and pull the bottom one, that we can undo that, and they very easily operate. You also have two buttons right here for the second row, and it's gonna automatically fold these seats all the way down. And from here, you're gonna have 79.6 cubic feet of volume. They're gonna fold down nice and flat. So this is one heck of a roomy, practical SUV. Closing that up, taking a look inside now. Everything like here, you can just press this button, and that's how you're gonna automatically pop these back up. I kinda like the combination of manual and power operations. I think it does overall make these pretty easy to use comparing it to other SUVs out there. You have power controls on the seat. This is basically for up, down, recline, and then you have a lock icon for the forwards and back. There's a manual lever right here to slide these forwards and back. On the door panel, you get this nice wood material. It's plastic, of course, but it looks and feels pretty cool. Release handle, heated seat, and then nice leather padding. You also have a pretty massive sunshade, and then this whole car does have Nappa leather for the seats. Hopping inside now, we can just tap that button, get that one in the up position too. There's some cool hidden storage. We can pull this open, and you can see all that space here, and if you go ahead and slide your hand here, you can open up the center console, and there's even more space. And this all connects too, so that is a really cool touch. You're gonna see some storage down below, USB ports, cup holders all throughout the door with more air vents, micro suede headliner with those dual panes, and then there's even an armrest that has some adjustments. So this is a nice second row. I can recline it a little bit, and at 5'11", sitting behind my driver's seat, no issues with legroom. You have like a foot of headroom as well. This truly is a great place to be, no complaints whatsoever. Taking a look at the third row now, you can just tap this button. So I like how it manually just rocks its way forward, and then that's gonna automatically get out of the way. From here, we can just pull one of these, and it's really not all too difficult to operate all these seats. So once again, I think they did a pretty good job doing everything. So you do have to at least pull one of these. Looks like that one. And we can get these up. Headrests fold up as well. This is super cool. You have on, off, and fan speed right here. So you have air vents for the third row. You also have cup holders, different plugs on the left side as well. And these seats will recline. So I can get this back a little bit and sit back here pretty comfortably. Now, if you go ahead and pull this seat back, you then just tap the button and it's gonna automatically come backwards. If you keep your knees straight up, the seats are very low. So, I mean, these are kind of in my chest a little bit. But if you kind of sprawl out a little bit, something like this, this is not a bad third row, and I could be back here for a couple hours. Plenty of headroom, good recline angle, good light as well. So not bad, honestly. This is a really well thought out design, and just as easy, we can press that button and get those out of the way to go ahead and climb out. And then from here, you can just tap it once again, and it will do that. From there, you can then manually slide it back. So moving on to the driver's seat now. Similar door panel that you saw in back. You got the nice leather up on top, all of your basic controls. Now this driver's seat does have a recliner setting. So if I tap that, this goes into a really cool mode. Maybe you're waiting in the carpool line for the kids. You got a recliner seat to sit in, which is a cool touch. Curious how many owners will actually use that, but nice touch as well. You have all these controls as you would expect, 8-way power adjustments, and you can even independently pop open that leg rest. I go ahead and hop inside now, keep my foot on the brake. We can go ahead and fire it up. You got a really cool looking two-tone steering wheel with the gray and the light color, and then all your controls for Bluetooth and audio. You have cruise control over on the left side, and then a digital gauge cluster. You have two 12.3-inch screens. We can also tap an icon on the steering wheel, scroll through this just a little bit, and then you can see all sorts of different vitals and information within the car down there. We have a drive mode select. You can toggle this. Gives you a pretty cool look for the actual screen itself. And then you have steering wheel mounted paddle shifters. Your drive select is over here. All your different gears. Stock on the upper right. This is for windshield wipers. Turn signal on the left along with your headlights. You have more controls down here, more of this H color, ambient lighting throughout it. And then you can see just that leather material up across the dashboard. More of it right here, and that same wood trim all throughout it. You have an upper dash. You can fit maybe a couple phones in here. There's even storage up above this area and a nicely integrated handle. Moving on to the air vent, you can see somewhat of that H design. And then this screen in the center is kind of your typical Hyundai system, you know, pretty familiar with other cars in the lineup. Nice the way everything works. Going into reverse, you got your nice backup camera, top-down view. You even have a 360 look at the car. And then going into drive, you get your front view camera. One thing nice, you have a dedicated climate control panel down below. While they're touchscreen buttons, so it's a little challenging to use while driving, being very small, it is still nice to always have this readily available and easy enough. You can see everything. Heated and ventilated seating, a few more controls down below, and then shortcuts up here for the screen. You have 2 wireless phone charging pads. You can adjust how you'd like your phone to be plugged in, whether it's infotainment or just charging. Storage down below with more plugs, and then you can take a look at cup holders. So this will open the traditional way as well. You have a nice bucket in here, and with this bucket removed, that is actually the bucket down here. So pretty cool design how they have this all integrated as one giant storage area. And then one last look at the interior. You have this micro suede headliner, your sunshade you can automatically close, the rear one, get that going, and then this front one is all manual. You have dome lights, frameless mirror with an integrated camera, and then garage door buttons underneath. All right, setting off now in the Santa Fe. Honestly, this turbo motor is pretty peppy. Gets up to speed very well. You're not gonna have an issue just like getting onto high traffic or highways or merging or anything like that. So normal driving, this car is pretty nice, honestly, especially the materials. I mean, the real leather that you see all over the place, and even just the textures of the trim. I am really impressed. There are cars that are 50 grand that have plastic on everything. This looks and feels really nice. Ride quality is really good too. It's super smooth. I mean, you don't really hear any wind noise or road noise. Great visibility out the front. You have these little tiny corner windows just to make it a little bit better. Over your left and right shoulder, nothing all too crazy, honestly. It's an easy car to see around. Got a lot of glass. It's very open feeling in here, especially with this color combination. It's a good place. Armrests are pretty good, I will say, because of how this opens. The corner, the edge of it is a little hard, so that kind of hits it right on my elbow joint a little bit. So I kind of just got to go towards the center, but nothing crazy there. I mean, it's pretty comfortable in here. The seats also have a lot of nice padding to where I just fit really comfortably. And it's a smooth car to drive. Going around those turns, like, it just drives really nice. I think the build quality is really good on this car. It doesn't feel cheap at all. For 50 grand, you know, you would want a car that feels nice. And this feels every bit 50 grand, honestly. The turbo definitely packs a good enough punch just to get up to some speed, good throttle response. When you go into the sport mode, basically it's gonna hold a little bit lower gear to keep the revs higher, and it's just a little bit more touchy. So those two drive modes are primarily where you're going to use. And then of course the snow mode in inclement weather. But it seems like a nice car to drive. The ergonomics are pretty good as well. I like how this screen has the big tiles to where it's easy to tap. I'm not the biggest fan of touch screen in cars, honestly, because a lot of times like little buttons like these, it's kind of hard to point and hit them. I like how there is a dedicated panel. However, you kind of have to look and really make sure you press perfectly on the icon. So that it's all right. It is better than a lot of cars that have it in the infotainment screen. However, I still like some old school buttons here and there. But nonetheless, this looks good. Everything looks and feels really good in here, and there's so much storage. Hitting these train tracks, let's really test the build quality. Nice and solid. There are some cars where that feels like it's gonna fall apart. So that is a really nice touch to where this just feels solid. The steering is also really effortless and easy, but it's also got enough weight to it to where it feels direct. Like this feels like just a nice car to drive. It's not just too robotic or flimsy feeling. You know, some cars, they have no feedback to the steering wheel to where you don't even know what you're doing. This gives you enough feedback to just feel nice. And then as far as maneuverability goes, let's pull into this parking lot real quick. Turning circle is pretty sharp for being a 3-row. Honestly, you can really turn this thing pretty dang good. And then all the cameras and everything work pretty well. I like having the camera up here especially. That's a good touch. And then camera angles really help make this easy to park. So if you're not familiar with a 3rd row, I mean, something like this makes it a lot easier. You can see all the lines in the parking spaces and everything. So not bad at all. If you're looking for a family 3-row SUV, I mean, this is a fully loaded car. Every option that even expensive cars don't even have. This is certainly something to take into consideration.